Train Primary Resource Number 1, William Smith's Letter to His Sister, 1875. You see by this that I am now on the Pacific Coast. 1 week ago today at 5:30 p.m. I left Geneso for this city with Amos and Lily, and we arrived here on Friday evening at dark. Just think of it, we traveled nearly 2,000 miles in 5 days. We traveled night and day and left the railroad passengers' cars once, and sometimes twice a day for meals, and then for a few minutes only. Well, I think I hear you say how awful tired you must have been when you got through, but to my astonishment, we were not. We got used to the motion of the cars, and I was comfortable all the day through, as I could have been in our parlor. We occupied a splendid sleeping car all the way and had a jolly lot of passengers. There was some 300 or 400 of them. There was 8 cars with passengers, besides the other cars for baggage, with 2 powerful engines to draw us. So you see, we had a crowd of our own. For hundreds of miles we saw no other persons except now, and then a station with a few hovels about it. I had read a great deal about the desert plains, but I had a very imperfect idea about their appearance and immensity of their extent, and no one can form anything of a correct idea about them by reading. They must be passed over to realize their extent and utter desolation. For hundreds of miles there is neither tree or shrub except sagebush and geesewood, from about 6 inches to a couple of feet high, and then only in spots. The soil is sand, and the gravel and the mountains, when we came to them, most of the way was naked rock and small stones, with no vegetation whatever, and many of the rivers are so impregnated with alkali of some kind that neither man nor beast can drink the water without injury and after producing death. But when we came to the Rocky Mountains proper, we now and then see a few evergreen bushes and now and then a small tree. But all the scenery I ever saw before, it appears tame by the sight of what we passed through. It is impossible to give any kind of idea about the immensity of them. We passed under ledges of 2 or some 3,000 feet above us, and over ravines as high as Sherman and Wyoming territory. They were 8,242 feet above sea level at the highest railroad point in America. That was on the Rocky Mountains. And we came to the Sierra Nevada mountains. They are the west range of the Rocky. I got up at 3:30 in the morning to see the sights, for the conductor informed me that early in the morning we would pass the finest sights on the road. So I was up to see them. It was quite cool and chilly, so I put an overcoat and shell and took a seat on the platform to see. It was a bright starlight, and they appeared to be twice as large as I ever saw them before, owing to the clear and rarefied atmosphere so high up in the mountains. Soon we came upon fresh snow and then to snow banks. I see we were moving up the side of the river, and I looked on the other side, way up on the side of the mountain, and saw a railroad with a snow shed and at the end of a tunnel in the mountain. Soon we came to a short curve in the road, and I saw we were running on that road I saw previously. Now I looked over a river, and way down several hundred feet was a road we had passed over. Soon we were in the snow shed, then in a tunnel, then a shed, next a tunnel, and so on, under a continual roof-like covered bridge for 22 miles, and after an Egyptian darkness, for the tunnels are not lighted, through the cracks and windows in the sheds I could see deep canyons and mountain peaks all covered with snow. About the middle of the snow sheds we came to a railroad station and hotel. We stopped a few minutes and found everything frozen hard and cold as midwinter. This summit of the Sierra Nevada mountains and the hotel is 7,017 feet above sea level. From there we struck down a grade and ran very fast, and soon came to the American River, and the scenery was far above anything we had seen before. So on we went, and was so soon below the snow, and in a few miles everything was in full bloom. Before noon we passed gardens filled with cherry trees, red with ripe fruit, and stations the boys were selling strawberries and cherries just picked. How was that for a change of climate? I tell you, sis, it seemed to me as though I had just dropped from the clouds to a tropical climate. About noon we arrived in Sacramento City, and from there to head of San Francisco Bay. The farmers were cutting and stacking their hay and wheat, and now I'm writing in my room at the Cosmopolitan Hotel with the window up in my shirt sleeves, as happy as a clam. I have seen little of this city yet, and now intend to start Tuesday morning with the others for Los Angeles, some 500 miles south, for that is the point I have in view for a future home. William Smith to his sister, 1875.